Hi, this is Geneva Solomon and Jonathan Solomon with Redstone Firearms. We want to thank you for taking the time out today to attend our webinar. Um, just to give you an introduction of who we are a FFL, which is a federal firearms licensed dealer here in Southern California, in the city of Burbank, and we received a lot of inquiries of questions regarding proper gun ownership and education. And so we just put this webinar together to educate those with out there that may not be familiar with guns and the laws around guns. And so we put together a full presentation for you. So we just wanted to say thank you. Just to recap who Jonathan and I are, we are a husband and wife team. We own Redstone Firearms together. Not only are we firearms dealers here in Southern California, we have a gun club where we give firearms training once a month at an outdoor range, as well as locally here in our store where we offer home defense training, weapons training. We talk about home defense, rifle defenses. We just did a gun cleaning class. So we really are champions for gun ownership and proper safe handling as well as maintenance. Today, we're not giving you any legal advice. This is really just our professional opinion from being not only gun owners, but gun dealers and gun trainers and gun consultants. So please do not take anything today we say as legal advice, but more so our professional opinion. If you are out there in Southern California and you're looking for a gun club home for tactical training, please look us up. The name of our gun club is SFV Shooters Club. You can find us on Facebook. We also have a meetup out there under SFV Shooters Club. So today we're going to talk about what is the Second Amendment. We're going to have a conversation on the questions that were submitted to us via email. And then we threw in a Firearms Dictionary just on some frequently used firearms terminology. After that, we're going to talk about concealed carry reciprocity. And then when we did have this call live, we had chat room questions. So today, since this is a recorded webinar, we won't have any chat room questions. And then we're going to ask you to go ahead and leave your feedback on the YouTube channel and let us know if this is something that we should do again. So, what is the Second Amendment? Everybody heard of or is told you need to exercise your Second Amendment right. And so, what is the Second Amendment of the United States? It's a section of the Constitution that says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does that mean to you, Jonathan?
Basically means that your right to bear an arm, i.e. a firearm, should not and will not be infringed upon. You have the right to protect yourself and your family using a firearm as a tool.
So we're going to dive into that as people are becoming more into tune about their Second Amendment rights and how they should exercise them. So the first thing that we're going to do is get into some of the pre-submitted questions. When traveling with a firearm, what are the suggested do's and don'ts? Now, this is going to be nationwide, and Jonathan, can you please go ahead and give your opinion on what to do when traveling with a firearm?
If you do not have a CCW in the state that you're traveling in,
Explain what a CCW is.
You must have your firearm locked away. A CCW is a carry concealed weapons permit. So in the state of California, you must have your firearm in a locked container in a locked trunk. Basically, it's the 3 T's: tucked away, locked away, in the trunk, and or in some locking device.
Okay. So we are expanding as a company. We started out as a home-based FFL dealer, and then that's how we ended up at the Burbank location. And we're growing, and so someone wanted to know when our Inland Empire store was going to be opening and if we're going to offer training there. Our Inland Empire store is currently in development, and it should be open in July. In what is that, 2 months? That store will not have a training club, but that is something we're looking forward to developing in 2018. So for those who are willing to travel, we do have some shoot days at Burrow Canyon, which is close to the Inland Empire out in Azusa. We'll be meeting there in the month of June, July, and August. And then if you still want to attend, you're definitely more than welcome to come out to our shoot days at Angela's Crest out here in the San Fernando Valley. So the next question is, how can I get a 9mm handgun? And as we think about that, this question makes me think that we need to back up a little bit and talk about what a 9mm handgun is. Purchasing a 9mm handgun is the same as purchasing any caliber handgun. So purchasing a 9mm is no different than purchasing a 40 caliber or a 22 caliber. Here in the state of California, you have to possess a firearm safety certificate, which requires a test that needs to be taken, and you have to pass it. You can only miss 7 out of the 30 questions, and then that card lasts for 5 years. Now, there's other states where they have more restrictive rules, like Maryland, where you have to actually take a 6-hour class and obtain an HQL, and then after that, you're able to purchase a firearm. Now, you might want to, if you're not in Maryland or you're not in California, check your local laws and find out if you must possess some sort of license to purchase a firearm. That is completely different than carrying concealed. So once you have that, you can buy a handgun, a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, which are all 3 different things, but there's no difference in buying a 9mm than it is a 40 caliber. It's just a difference in ammunition. In the state of California, how can I obtain a concealed carry permit? Now, you'll hear me say this a couple times throughout the presentation, but obtaining a California carry concealed permit is very subjective here in the state. It's really hard to obtain. You have to have an interview with your local police department, and it's almost as if it's like a job interview, and you have to sell them on yourself and give them a reason why. It's not as simple as, I have a clean record, I'm a citizen, and this is my Second Amendment right. You will not obtain a concealed carry weapon with just that argument. What is your opinion, Jonathan?
If you live in LA County, I wouldn't even bother applying. You're not going to get it. If you live in some of the outskirts, i.e. Simi Valley, Ventura County, San Bernardino County, San Diego County, Riverside County, you have a much greater chance of obtaining a CCW in California.
So, and in the event, let's say, you get lucky and you do obtain that license, then after that, you have to take a 2-day, 16-hour course, which I believe I hear is about $169 to $200. And then after that, you have to pass a firing test, which I believe it's 30 bullets. And it's at 3 different distances, isn't it? Is it 3 feet, 9 feet, 12?
Something like that.
Something like that. And you also have to clear your magazine in a very short amount of time. So you have to be a skilled shooter, which, I believe is important. In the state of California, are you allowed to carry concealed legally? If you have a concealed carry permit, absolutely. Just like we just talked about how you can obtain one. If you do not get approved for a concealed carry permit, then you cannot legally carry concealed if you do not have that permit. I do believe, doesn't the law say, Jonathan, if you carry concealed, then it's a misdemeanor?
Depending on this county. But PC 12025 will allow you to carry a concealed weapon upon your person without a permit on your property or within your business.
So if you own a business, then you could definitely carry a concealed carry weapon on yourself. And on your person means in your purse, in your suit jacket, in your briefcase, something that's attached to you. And definitely at home, you can have it on yourself in your backyard while you're gardening or walking around your backyard. So definitely feel the need to exercise that right in your home. In the state of California, can you legally carry concealed? That goes back to what we just talked about. If you don't have that permit, if you don't get approved for a concealed carry permit, then you cannot carry concealed legally here in the state of California. Now, if you risk it and you do decide to carry concealed and you get caught, I believe that's a misdemeanor, right, Jonathan?
Depending upon the county.
And then what did you say about the PC?
PC 120.25 will allow you to carry a concealed weapon upon your person, on your property, and or if you own a business, you're able to carry a concealed weapon without a permit on your property only.
And so that means on your person is defined as your purse, your briefcase, your suit jacket, something that is attached to yourself. So definitely feel the need to exercise that should you feel the need to. What is the legal way to store a firearm inside your home? I'm going to pivot that over to Jonathan.
Well, in the state of California, you are required to have your firearm locked away out of the reach of anyone under the age of 21, I believe. That means using a cable lock, a trigger lock, in a safe. Some type of locking device needs to be in place to properly store your firearm.
Can you explain the legalities of AR-15, which was huge here in California last year? Big law change.
Well, in the state of California, the AR-15, which is basically looked at as the assault weapons ban, it's not just for AR-15s. It's for all firearms considered by the state of California to be assault weapons. That basically is a very broad and vague description, which is how they like it, because they can add firearms to that as they so see fit. The legalities around the AR-15, you can still have an AR-15 in the state of California, but it has to be state compliant, which does vary right now because they haven't had a definitive ruling when it comes to what has to be on the firearm, what can't be on the firearm, etc. Right now, at this very moment, you can't have a pistol grip on the firearm. You can't have a collapsible buttstock on the firearm. You basically have to look at the rules and see which firearm law is for each individual firearm, i.e. AR has a particular set of rules that go along with it. AK-47s have a particular rule. Shotguns with pistol grips have a particular rule, etc.
Okay, and then what's the best ammo for, let's say, an apartment, a townhouse, a house?
You want to use a ammunition that has some type of fragmentable ballistic capability to it. So it will go in the threat, it will neutralize the threat, it will come out of the threat, but it will not go through walls or doors or things of that nature, so you can minimize your damage once you've fired your firearm.
And that's the same for an apartment?
Yes.
And a house?
Yes.
I mean, if you have a shotgun and you live in an apartment, you may not want to go with the shotgun in an apartment, right?
Not necessarily. It does depend upon what type of ammunition you're using.
So we need to call that out.
You can use slugs, which is going to be your best option because it's just one maybe 2, depending upon which slugs you use. Um, Projectile versus using birdshot or buckshot, you're going to have multiple different projectiles coming out at once. You want to be able to control your uh, shot patterns.
And what does birdshot mean?
Birdshot is shot used for killing birds. It's hundreds of little pellets within the shotgun round.
And what is buckshot?
Buckshot is usually 1 or 2, sometimes up to 7 larger marble-sized rounds.
Okay, and then I heard, don't you load a shotgun like with 2 bird shots and then the last one that comes out is a slug?
No.
Okay.
You're going to use 2 rubber rounds.
Okay.
It constitutes a warning to the person that you've shot.
But you don't shoot that in the air. You actually hit the person with that, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so moving on. The next question was, I currently live in Lancaster, California. That's about 45 minutes north of us, and they're going to be moving to Rosemont, California. Is there any information that I need to update on my rifle? And the answer is no. Once you've already did the dealer record of sale for the state of California, you can move within anywhere of the state and you do not have to re-register that rifle. So you can go ahead and move comfortably and not have to worry about re-registering your rifle. It's just like not having to re-register your car. I get this question a lot from our female customers, female women who call me for consultations, and they always ask me, what's the best firearm for a woman? And I always say, well, that's really going to depend on your lifestyle. You know, how do you dress? Are you going to carry concealed? Do you have any hand injuries? Because I have a hand injury. I have, tendonitis in my hand. So that's definitely going to dictate the best gun for myself. I have smaller fingers. So that's also going to dictate how I can lock the slide of a weapon. I do have, if a woman has some issues with her shoulder and things of that sort. And then if you're going to carry concealed, how do you dress for work every day? Are you a skirt and dress kind of woman? Are you a leggings and sweater kind of woman? All that's going to dictate the best firearm for your personal needs. So just because one woman says this firearm is best for a woman, that's not necessarily true. It may be what is best for them, but not necessarily best for you. So when you go to make that decision to buy a firearm, you want to, work with somebody that's going to give you that consultating time to ask the questions and then guide you in the right area to give you 3 or 4 firearms to consider and then make that purchase. And then also there's different ammo sizes. So a 22 is a very small bullet to a 380, a 38, a 45, a 9mm, a 40. So the bigger in the number we go up, the higher and powerful that caliber bullet is going to be, and that means more power is coming out as you're firing that. So you're going to absorb some of that in your hand. The next question is, how much are Redstone Firearm classes and registration? Currently, at the moment, we're accepting memberships into our gun club for free here in Southern California. We do ask per class that everyone pays a certain fee for that class, and it's very small because we all chip in for the cost of the range. You have to bring your own ammo and range bag, but we have lent guns out to people who do not own firearms, and they've graduated to buying their own firearms and equipment as well. But currently our club registration and fees are nothing. Like I told you guys at the beginning of this call, we're champions for proper gun education, and we really, really value not only just selling people guns, but making sure that when they leave out of our store, they know how to properly use it. It's a very dangerous practice if you're just purchasing a firearm and not knowing how to use it to protect yourself. What is a legal way to transport a firearm in your car in California? So we've already touched on that, but I will go ahead and let Jonathan answer it one more time.
You must have your firearm locked away inside of a locked container inside of your trunk. If you do not have a vehicle with a trunk, it needs to be in a position that is the furthest away from the driver, but it still must be locked and locked away.
And we don't know what it is in other states, but if you don't have a concealed carry permit and your state requires it, I'm pretty certain that that is the way to transport a firearm in other states, but I would definitely check the local laws. What to do if you fire a weapon in self-defense inside your home? Um, this one's difficult because I know in the event that you find yourself in a situation where you have to stop a threat, you need to stop the threat. And whatever that requires, if that requires that ultimately that you're going to end that person's life, you need to stop the threat. When you dial 911, I would suggest that you let the 911 operator know what you're wearing so that they don't mistake you for the person that is the threat. And then upon them asking you questions, I would not answer any questions. I would just, I would personally allow the officer to go ahead and just take me to jail and then bail out and get an attorney, explain everything to my attorney, and let the attorney explain everything to the officers because especially here in California, we're not a gun-friendly state, and so oftentimes words could be used against you. And if you just had to shoot somebody, you're not really in the right frame of mind anyway to be answering questions. Did you have an opinion on that, Jonathan?
No, I agree with what you said.
So, what is a 4473? That is a dealer record of sales. You will hear the term DROS a lot. DROS means, anytime you see something online in regards to a firearm sales, they'll say plus tax and DROS. DROS is that it's an ATF form, which is federal, so it's the same form.
I think you're mixing up the DROS forms. The 4473 is a federal form. That is the federal registration form. In the state of California, the DROS is the dealer record of sale. That is a California DOJ requirement. Other states don't have DROS. They have something similar to it. They call it something different in most states. For instance, in the state of Nevada, they do not do DROSes. They do NICS checks,
Right.
which are basically instant background checks. If you come back clear, you walk out with your firearm.
But you still have to complete the 4473.
Correct, right? But that is just the federal registration.
Right,
it has nothing to do with the state at all.
Right, so across the entire United States, the form's going to look the same, and we'll show you what that looks like. On the left-hand side is the first page of that 4473. There are some things that are pretty standard: your last name, your first name, your street address, and your city. There's only one thing on this form that is optional. I believe that's your social security number. It's up to you if you want to provide that or not. It's helpful if you have a common name like Jack Johnson and you don't want to be, misidentified as someone that could have a felony and it delays you obtaining a firearm. But if you have a unique name, you're not obligated to provide your social security number. Now, we do want to point out the changes to the 4473 for the 2017. If you look at what's highlighted here under E, it talks about, are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana, a depressant, a narcotic drug, and medical marijuana? Do you have a medical marijuana card? This did not exist on this form last year, and this now exists because if you do have a medical marijuana card, it may be legal in your state, but it is federally illegal. And if you have a medical marijuana card and you answer this question yes, unfortunately it's going to prevent you from buying a firearm. And that's just the unfortunate reality. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, I pretty much covered it.
Can a misdemeanor prevent you from owning a firearm legally, Jonathan?
Yes, depending upon the severity of the misdemeanor.
So a misdemeanor DUI, probably not. Felony DUI, absolutely. What else are misdemeanors? Like a violent misdemeanor, probably.
Misdemeanor domestic violence, which in California is no longer there. Everything's felony domestic violence. Misdemeanor possession of a controlled substance. Misdemeanor possession of any type of over the size knife, illegal firearms, illegal knives, illegal weaponry, brass knuckles, etc.
So we have gotten several calls from people about can a felony prevent you from owning a firearm? And the unfortunate news is yes, for your entire life, for the rest of your life. So we do understand that, some mistakes were made and now it's 30, 40 years past and you want to now possess a firearm and you've probably gotten your voting rights restored and other rights restored, but for some reason, your gun rights cannot be restored or they're not restored. Now you can get an attorney and petition the court. We've heard it that you can petition the court to get your gun rights back. That's all we can really say. We really don't know much about it because we're not attorneys, but I can tell you that if you have a felony and you have not went to court to get that, is it called expunged? Then unfortunately you will be denied when it goes to buying a firearm. Jonathan, I'll let you go ahead and talk about how do you determine what firearm best suits your needs?
It all depends upon your need, your want, and what you're going to use it for, as well as your hand size, your arm length, your health status. If you have bad shoulders, bad hands, bad wrists, etc., that's going to determine what type of firearm you need to be looking at. Different firearms have different size grips, different recoil, different accessories to help with recoil, etc. So it does have quite a few determining factors as to what's going to work for you, not just what looks good.
And also take into consideration your living situation, what type of house, apartment, you have any children, stuff like that, right? And if you're going to be using it for concealed carry or home defense, that's important as well. Do you have to go to the police station to apply for a gun license? And I wasn't quite sure where this was going, but gun license, I guess, is interchangeable. If you're saying a license to purchase a firearm, no. A license to carry concealed, depending on the state that you live in. I know several states you still have to go to the police station to do your fingerprinting and stuff, like Nevada, Utah. No, Utah you could just mail it in, but I know Nevada you had to go into the actual police station. Here in the state of California, you do have to go into the police station and do an interview and all that. So to purchase a firearm, no. In your state, you either probably will have to take a class and obtain some sort of license to purchase a firearm, but that's not through the police department. That's probably through an FFL dealer or some type of NRA certified instructor. What is a high capacity magazine, Jonathan? And what do you do if we have 15 round mags already here?
A high capacity magazine in the state of California is any magazine feeding device that accepts 10 or more rounds. The law has gone back and forth quite a few times on that. I can't even keep up at this point to tell you where the last law stopped, the last revision of the law stopped. Originally, if you purchased them prior to a certain date, you were grandfathered in. Then they removed that grandfathering. Then they added it back. Then they changed it again. So if you have high-capacity magazines and you're not sure of the law, you can always purchase blockers, magazine blockers from us or some other company so you can make your magazines for California compliant. Brings it down to the 10 round capacity requirement.
10 round means 10 bullets.
Yes.
I just had to ask that. Can you lawfully ship a firearm to myself in another state?
Yes.
Does it have to go to? So this question actually could be confusing. If Geneva, myself, if I was moving out of the state of California to Maryland, can I ship myself my own gun?
Yes.
Now, if I wanted to ship a gun to, let's say, my sister who lives in Maryland, could I do that?
Yes, but it has to go through a dealer.
So there's the difference. If you're shipping it to someone other than yourself, it has to go to a dealer. And there are rules of how that firearm has to be shipped. If it can go USPS or FedEx. And there are also laws about signature requirements. And you are the only person that can sign for that firearm on the other end if it is just for you shipping a gun to yourself. So let's talk about the California FSC, which is on the left, and the California Concealed Carry Permit, which is on the right. As you see, the Firearm Safety Certificate, which is easy to get. You come in to us, you take a 30-question test, you pass it by not missing more than 7, and we print it, and you sign it, and we laminate it, and you're good to go. That means for the next 5 years, you can now, that number that's at the top right-hand corner, you'll be able to purchase a firearm. This does not guarantee that you're going to pass the background check. So a lot of people get confused about that. It's really weird. The California DOJ, if you have a felony, they will issue you the firearm safety certificate. But then when you go to buy a firearm, it'll come back as rejected or denied, right?
Correct.
The right one is a license to carry concealed. So if you pass all the beautiful tests of getting a concealed carry license, it will look just like that one. I believe on the back it's going to list 4 or 5 of the firearms that you qualified with. Here in the state of California, you have to qualify with the gun that you're going to carry. So if you had a Glock 17 that you qualified with and then you got rid of it and bought another gun, you actually have to go back to an instructor and shoot that gun, and they have to sign off on that for that gun to be added to your concealed carry permit. Can you purchase a firearm online and have it shipped to your house legally? No, you cannot. You can buy a firearm online, absolutely. There are some websites out there that's like the eBay for guns. It has to come through a person like myself or Jonathan, a store like Redstone Firearms, and we would take possession of the firearm for you. In the event that you did that, you give us a call, you shoot us an email, and you let us know, hey, this gun is coming to you guys from me, and you make an appointment, we get you in, and then we start that whole DROS process, and then in 10 days, you can have your lovely firearms. The same thing in a different state. We just shipped a gun to a customer in Maryland. They bought it from us online, and we shipped it to a dealer that was in Baltimore. And they went and picked up their firearm and took it home the next day, or the same day, I believe. This has been an interesting question. There is a form out there that exists. If you have a record in the state of California and you want to know, am I going to come back as denied? There's a form, and it's right there. It's called the Personal Firearms Eligibility Check Application. You fill this out, you send it in, and within 30 to 60 days, they will get back to you and let you know if you can possess a firearm. So if you have one of those questionable misdemeanors and you're not quite sure if you're going to come back as rejected or denied, or you have something going on with your driving record that could prevent you, you can definitely send this in. If you need this form, email us. We'll get it out to you. I have it saved here on my desktop. Or Google it. Google is very accessible. And fill it out and send it in. Is there a limit on the number of handguns that you can own?
Own? No. Purchase? Yes. In the state of California, you can only purchase 1 handgun per 30 days.
So don't believe the conspiracy theorists who say, oh, you got 5 handguns, the ATF is going to come kick your door down and think you're some sort of, mass terrorist. That's not the truth. You can own I knew people that owned 99 to 100 handguns and rifles and shotguns. So you can own as many as you like. It's just going to take you a while to get to 100 here in the state of California. There's only 12 months in a year. Do you have to provide your SSN to purchase a firearm? Here in the state of California, you do not. Actually, I don't believe anywhere in the United States, because that form is a federal form. So there you go. Can your driving record prevent you from buying a firearm, Jonathan?
Yes, it can.
Why?
So can child support. So can credit, as well as criminal. Your neighbors can prevent you from purchasing
How?
a firearm. With the law that passed here, the Firearms Restraining Order. There was a law that passed earlier this year. Actually, it might have been late last year. Basically saying that if you get into some type of spat with a neighbor or a coworker, they can apply to have your firearms removed from your home via a firearm restraining order.
I did not know that. Thank you for teaching me that, dear. How often should you clean your firearm? The rule out there is after each time you shoot, and we hope that you're out there shooting at least once a month, because rust and dust and moisture and crud can build up in that firearm. And one, you need to protect your investment. Guns are not cheap. They're not like tennis shoes. They're a very expensive investment, especially if you get into modifying it to your specific needs. And then after you do shoot it, that's lots of gunpowder and residue. You need to break that firearm down and clean it. Make sure that it's operating correctly. We offer a handgun cleaning class and a rifle and shotgun cleaning class. Find one in your area if you're not out here in Southern California is important. If not, I know that there are vendors out there that you can drop your handgun, rifle, shotgun out to, and they will clean them for you, and you just pick it up. But it is important. If you're not shooting your gun, shame on you, because you really should be. But if you're not shooting your gun, it's just sitting in your safe or your closet, you need to still make sure that gun is getting clean. What should you include in your range bag? I actually just posted an all-inclusive range bag on our website, redstonefirearms.com, last night, and it includes everything you need. So it has your ear protection, your eye protection, which is important. You want a very good quality ear protection. A lot of people are starting to lose their hearing now, especially if you're shooting a lot. We have a first aid kit, which is very important because, if you get a nick on your finger, if you have a projectile that hits you in the face, it's a sport, things happen. So you definitely need a first aid kit, a speed loader, which for me is important because I carry more than one caliber, and it's a miracle for my hands to have a speed loader. So we include a universal maglula speed loader. What else is in there, dear? Oh, a tack fire cleaning kit, because we just talked about how important it is to keep your firearm clean. And then we also personalize your range bag. So all of that, you need a range bag, ear and eye protection, first aid kit, anything else that a person may want to throw in there, your holster, because if you're going to shoot at the outdoor range, you definitely do need a holster. Gloves, if you're shooting rifle or shotgun. Some people like to shoot with gloves. Batteries, if you have an electronic earphones or earmuffs that take batteries. So those are the things that you keep. Extra magazines for your firearm, and definitely ammo. That actually is, how long should you keep ammo stored?
Theoretically, you can keep ammo indefinitely as long as it stays dry. Once it becomes wet, you run into issues.
So if we've had ammo down in our safe for like 15 years, it's still good ammo to shoot?
As long as it's dry.
Okay. How often should I train to shoot, and how do I get started training? Now, Jonathan and I are advocates of shooting is a perishable skill, so once a month at the very least. You definitely should be out there learning from different instructors. The buddy system we implement in our gun club, where we take the advanced shooters and pair them with maybe not the so much advanced, because you can learn different things from different people. If there's a Glock specialist coming to town, take their class. If you're an advanced shooter, take a beginner's class. If beginners, you got to stay in beginners until you reach, advanced. But definitely take tactical class. I saw a class online the other day. It was dignitary protection. I want to take that. I don't even know why. I'm never going to protect a dignitary, but why not? There's skills that you can learn from different people out there, and shooting is a perishable skill. So you need to stay active. Not only do you need to be shooting, you need to be in classes, attending webinars like this to stay on top of your knowledge, watching YouTube videos and different tips and tricks. What else do you suggest?
Be careful with the YouTube videos you do watch. Not everyone teaches proper techniques.
True that. That's why you need to come out to our gun class. Let's talk about some Firearms Dictionary, some proper terms. So magazine, you will hear people that refer to it as a clip. A clip is where guns stay. Where bullets are actually attached to one another on an actual clip. A magazine is a feeding of that bullet is coming out of a magazine. It's already off the clip, I guess. And it's not on a clip, so it's an individual casing that goes into a magazine, and so that's the difference between a clip and a bullet. Please don't interchange them up and say clip. I dropped the clip. No, it's you dropped the magazine if it's coming out of the firearm.
A magazine is an ammunition feeding device. So you load your magazine, the magazine goes into your firearm, and it feeds your firearm. A clip is usually a metal piece that is about 5 to 6 inches long, sometimes longer. Ammunition is clipped into that clip and fed into into a firearm via that clip. Hence the reason why some ammunition comes on stripper clips.
Okay, so take us through the rest of this. What's a slide and a frame and a trigger and a rail? You're the expert.
A slide is basically the upper portion of a handgun, which houses your barrel, your spring assembly, your striker fire pin, or your firing pin, depending upon what type of firearm you have, your hammer, etc. That's basically what a slide is.
Frame.
The frame is basically the body of the firearm. It houses multiple different parts and components of your firearm. The trigger is a mechanism that basically fires the firearm. You pull the trigger, it creates a mechanical domino effect where you have things inside of your firearm, your springs, your firing pins, your hammers, etc. They activate it, basically. That's what the trigger is.
And don't put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready for action. It's just the number one rule.
The rail is a portion of the firearm that basically holds multiple pieces together. Like, for instance, Glocks, they have 4 small rails inside of them. That is basically to keep the slide of the firearm in line and on track with the rest of the body of the frame. The FFL is basically a federal firearms license that is required in the state of California, as well as every other state that has the ability to sell firearms. You have to have an FFL because that is a federal requirement. And the safety on the firearm is a mechanism that prevents the firearm from firing when it is in the safe position.
But it's not the primary. It's not the primary thing. Some people think, oh, safety. You could keep. It's not the primary source of what am I thinking? Safety. It's not. I can't think of the word right now. Please forgive me. But I can tell you the term is red is dead. So if you see the red line, that means that safety is off. And if you pull that trigger and there's a bullet, it's going to go boom and it's going to come out. So some takeaways from today. Find a local gun club. There's a couple websites out there that you can visit. The NAGA website, which is naaga.co. The Black Gun Owners Organization, they have a website with lots of gun clubs. Yelp. I guess the NRA has some gun clubs
Yes.
listed. Find a gun club that best suits your needs. I know there's a Girl in a Gun that I found out about from the SHOT Show. I joined them. They meet once a month on Wednesdays. We meet once a month. It's kind of sporadic right now. We have a meetup out there. We're gonna have some weekend shoot days. We have in-class sessions. We meet out at the range as well. But find a gun club where it's a community for you, where you feel like you feel welcome, you have fun, and you there's a buddy system where you feel like you can learn. That's important. If you're new to firearms, if you've just purchased your first firearm, sit on the bed every night with that firearm unloaded. Get yourself some snap caps. We have some. Give us a call. We don't have them on our website yet, but give us a call. We're gonna get them up in a few days. Snap caps are rubber bullets. There are some metal snap caps out there too, but they don't have gunpowder in them, so it can't hurt, fire and hurt you. It's just practicing getting that round in and out of that gun. And so when I purchased my first firearm many, many, many years ago, before I met my lovely husband, I sat on the bed and just practiced with my firearm to get myself comfortable with it, comfortable manipulating that firearm. It takes some time, so don't feel intimidated by it. It's just something that you need to take the time out every day to do. Shooting is a perishable skill. There's some people out there that are marksmen. They have to stay on top of their shooting. And if you're shooting for home defense, self-defense, you want to make sure that when that the seconds count, you're going to hit the target and you're going to stop the threat, and that gun is not taken away from you by another person who's skilled. You want to make sure that if that time ever comes, that you could definitely protect yourself. So just because you shoot once a year, that's not enough. You gotta stay up on your skills. Think about if you haven't ridden a bike and you're now 40 years old and you haven't ridden a bike since you were 5. It's going to take you some time to warm up. Practice home invasion and self-defense drills while at the range. We like outdoor ranges because, we believe that the proper way to learn how to shoot is from a holster. But if you want to practice sight alignment and things of that sort, an indoor range, is fine, unless you live in a state where the indoor range lets you draw from a holster. Here in California, there's not. So you have to be on an outdoor range. Plus, on the outdoor range, you could take a shotgun, your rifle, and a few handguns, and it's just funner to be outdoors, right? So practice those home invasion drills. Practice those home invasion drills and invest in a decent safe for your home or car. We have some safes listed on our website. We have some in our store. Costco has a good one if you live in another state. But invest in a good safe so when you're leaving on vacation, so that when you go on vacation, you could properly store your firearms and they're not getting stolen. There are laws out there that says if someone obtains a loaded firearm from your house and they steal that firearm and leave your house with it, you could be held liable. So definitely invest in a good safe. And if you are transporting your weapon inside your car, get a car safe. There's some that are not even that expensive. It is definitely important. We want to thank you for reaching out to us. We did have a questions opening when we did the live webinar, but we definitely wanted to record this for those who missed it. So let us know down in comments if this is something that we should do again. What should we focus on? What would you like for us to focus on for you? We could put something together. I've said it over and over again. Jonathan and I are champions for proper gun education and safety. knowing the gun laws. We sell more than just guns. We really are heavy on consultations. We have private consultations on the phone where we can help you understand what it is that best suits your needs in your home for your family, just for your personal protection. You can email us at rsf.ffl@gmail.com. You can visit our website at redstonefirearms.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram where you can keep up with us and see what we're doing. And then take down our phone numbers. You can call or text those numbers. Those are our business lines. And we just want to thank you for taking your time out and hanging out with us today as we went through these laws. Please comment and let us know how we can improve, what we can do to help you, because we really do. Have a good day, and we will talk to you later, family. Bye.